In life, most people are looking for how do I make relationships that last. If you're not thinking about that, you're not thinking about your life much. You see, networking and professional connections mean everything to most people. It means where you're going to go in life. It means how you're going to get there usually, and it means with whom you're going to make it last. Now, when I say make it last, there's plenty of people who can't make a relationship last. They get into difficulties because they're not sure what to do, or they don't know what to say, or sometimes there's just a breakdown in communication, and then it becomes awkward and a little uncomfortable, or one side just feels humiliated and doesn't know what to say. The other side might be raging, and it's a ridiculous rage because the Lord doesn't really allow that. Jesus might have been upset in the temple at the way that the people handled the money, but the truth is, in life, most relationships are not fully based on money. They can be, meaning that the relationships and the services we provide to other people produce for us a living. They produce for us a sales opportunity. They produce for us a long-term income. They produce for us residual income or sometimes retirement income. But in life, it's the relationship itself that develops the opportunity for the sale. You see, there's not one profession that isn't selling something. Whether they're selling internally to an internal team or whether they're selling externally to a person outside of the actual office, it doesn't really matter. What matters is that relationship, that it lasts. Because lasting relationships, like I had in my Japanese language program, allow people to really develop long-term capabilities. It allows them to believe in someone, allows them to trust someone, it allows them to trust them with their time, their energy, their resources, and their resourcefulness, as well as their income or their discretionary dollars, or what we call money. Money makes the world go round is what some people feel, but this particular situation where we're taking a few states at a time and checking out how will people handle this situation if we have a virus or an outbreak or something is sort of a ridiculous psychological study. We don't have enough CDC data being played throughout the news or online is probably true. I'm a homeless person, so I don't get to watch the news a great deal, but I know that by staying outside in the fresh air, the crisp air of the winter months, I'm actually healthier than if I was staying inside in an incubated place where air is basically being spun around in the same area. You see, there's sort of a science to that, but I'm not a perfect expert in wind tunnels or air exhaust systems or whatever we call them, air conditioning, etc. The reality is that HCVAC people probably know a lot more about this, and hospitals in some regards do too. But Mensa's pretty huge in hospitals with all kinds of people and staff, and that's a problem. We have a lot of medical problems because we've gone to these huge conglomerate hospitals and we're not focusing on the small town doctor who just helps people little by little. And that's the way it used to be a long time ago in America. We need to return to the small clinic. We need to get out of these huge conglomerates that take our records, lie about their rights to them, allow everybody who has an access opportunity to see our private medical records, and openly, it's a vile act of betrayal of our privacy. When we're talking about this particular situation, the secondary part that's a real problem is that people's jobs are being put on the line. People can't really go without paychecks. The people who are being told not to come into work, do they get their salary continued for those couple weeks that we want to shut everything down? Or are they losing money and they're losing opportunities to pay their bills on time or to provide their children with the things that are promised, like food, shelter, other things? You see, it doesn't take much for a slippery slope to turn into homelessness. Cybercrime and other things are also prevalent during these times because people are trusting. They want to help others, but they don't know how, and usually it's because they're trying to ply them with food that really isn't fresh enough to be given. In my lifetime, I've been amazed with how generous some companies can be and how miserly other companies can be when there's a little crisis like this. When there's a little crisis like this, we should all be concerned that everyone has a shelter that is safe and free of political harassment, police harassment, social harassment, spiritual harassment, religious harassment, and any other racial harassment that might exist. At the same time, we need to make sure that our places have food and plentiful of it, and that we're not miserly about the people who are in struggle, who can't produce a life because every place they would typically go to sell to make their living for the day is closed down. In life, we have moments of time to make a difference for someone, and I can tell you, as a homeless person, I'm freezing at night. It's not necessarily always because of the temperature outside. Sometimes it's just based on the wind factor. Other times it's based on a psychological audio pitch that literally rings in my ears that says, virtually, I'm cold. That may or may not be true, but we have to be mindful of the technologies coming in from foreign lands that are being brought in by possibly the president's wife or other people who come here from foreign lands with different ways of thinking about our laws. The biggest obstacle we have is that no person who's a lawyer is professionally teaching America about the laws. We need that. We desperately need a lawyer in the White House. We desperately need someone to pay attention to all the treaties, all the federal laws, all the constitutional amendments, and openly the local laws then come into play, not the other way around. In life, we have moments of time to tell people how we feel, and frankly, I expect Kamala Harris to go far in this election.